B-2 Spirit, the secret of the flying wing. Only ghosts can see it, and it also has a ghost-like shape. It has wings but no tail. It has no rudder. It does not use a vertical stabilizer. This aircraft is like a rule breaker. It cannot be considered an ordinary passenger aircraft. It is a fully military aircraft. Its only feature is not being a ghost. It is also an aerodynamic marvel. That's why flying this aircraft requires skill, because it's not like driving a car. Over time, many engineers gave up on this concept. The slightest air current can cause a tailless aircraft to lose control. So why doesn't this happen with the B-2? This aircraft has been equipped with fly-by-wire technology to minimize the margin of error. An unthinkable balance. The B-2 Spirit's sophisticated computer system makes thousands of corrections every second. This is the aircraft's greatest secret and the reason it can fly. Pilots steer this aircraft. What moves it is technology. The inherent imbalance of the flying wing against sudden yaw, pitch, and roll disturbances is one of its biggest disadvantages. These are automatically balanced by the tail of traditional aircraft. However, there is no such surface on the B-2. In this system, data is collected from all areas and transmitted to the main control center. These systems determine the exact amount of movement each control surface must make within milliseconds. The right elevon moves down by 1.5 degrees. The left wingtip moves up by 2 degrees. These are precise adjustments made with deadly accuracy. These adjustments are made silently, without the pilot noticing. However, the result is clear. Even in turbulence, the B-2 glides smoothly and steadily in an unnatural manner. The B-2 cuts through the air like glass, while massive Boeing 747s may shake. Radar and visibility. What about radar? While the flying wing shape is aerodynamic, it is insufficient in combat. The secret of this aircraft lies in its ability to appear ghost-like and absorb the wind beautifully. Every surface, contour, and panel line is measured with millimeter precision to scatter, absorb, or deflect radar signals. When radar waves arrive, they are scattered around like a convex mirror. Radar is reflected off the nose, tail, and vertical stabilizers of traditional aircraft. However, none of these exist on the B-2. This is why it looks so radical. It may resemble a ghost in shape, but this is not its primary feature in terms of stealth. The B-2's fuselage is covered with radar-absorbing material, RAM. Incoming radar waves are absorbed by this unique coating, preventing them from being reflected back. However, RAM is highly sensitive. After each flight, the surface must be scanned, microscopic damages repaired, and scratches polished. They wait 120 hours for the next flight. The reason is that maintenance is being carried out. As a result, it is among the most expensive and complex aircraft in aviation history. However, in return, it becomes the world's most invisible aircraft. Moreover, invisibility is not only valid for radar, thermal and visual disappearance, leaving no trace. The engineers who built this aircraft did not have invisibility as their sole objective. Like a real ghost, it must remain invisible, silent, and untraceable in the sky. Radar is not commonly used to detect aircraft. Acoustic noise, condensation trails, and heat signatures can reveal a stealth bomber. The B-2 counteracts all of these. Let's start with heat. Jet engines, especially in fighter jets, can be detected by infrared because they emit heat. Exhaust gases are cooled through specific channels before being expelled from the engines, which are embedded deep within the B-2's fuselage. Hot exhaust is expelled through hidden nozzles rather than being released from the top of the aircraft. As a result, the thermal signature is significantly reduced. One more thing, the B-2 leaves almost no condensation trail. When water vapor turns into ice crystals, jet aircraft typically create white lines in the sky. The B-2 does not produce this because its engines are properly prepared. The enemy cannot see anything using thermal cameras, radars, or telescopes. It behaves like a ghost visually. Its body is painted in dark graphite tones for night missions. Reflectivity is reduced to prevent a silhouette from forming against the bright sky. It sometimes resembles a flock of birds when viewed from a distance. However, such sensitivity and invisibility come at a cost. Each B-2 costs approximately $2 billion and is as quiet as a bird and as invisible as a ghost. And this applies to every unit. The ghost missions, 44 hours of silence. The B-2 Spirit, one of the deadliest strategic platforms on the planet, is more than just a technical marvel. It does this as quietly as someone would around a sleeping baby. Another capability of this aircraft is that it can circle the globe twice in a single flight. Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kosovo, the B-2 has played a significant role in some of the most critical moments in modern warfare history. Typically at night, when the enemy's air defenses are inactive, no one can detect this aircraft. During the 2003 Iraq War, B-2s flew from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri on a single mission, struck targets in Iraq, landed in Guam for maintenance, and then returned to Missouri. The pilots remained in the cockpit for over 40 hours. Furthermore, the only weapon used in these missions was not traditional bombs. This aircraft carries nuclear bombs and does so silently. These aircraft continued to be on constant alert even after the Cold War ended. It has gone down in world history as an expensive aircraft, but no one knows about these aircraft because no one notices it when it is flying. This aircraft is more than just a shadow in the sky. Even a radar struggles to detect it. Who will replace it? The Raider emerges. The B-2 Spirit dominated the skies for over 30 years with almost no competition. However, technology is not always the deciding factor. And now, its silent successor, the B-21 Raider, is emerging. The B-21 does more than just replace the B-2. Its ghost has given birth to the next evolution. The U.S. Air Force calls the Raider, developed by Northrop Grumman and launched in 2023, the bomber of the future. What sets it apart is its ability to move like a ghost. The B-21 is fully integrated into network-centric warfare and is more compact, cost-effective, and robust. It will do more than just drop bombs. It will transmit information, gather intelligence, and even control unmanned systems. It's not just an aircraft, it's like a base. Raider is a flying wing-like Spirit. However, it features maintenance-friendly coatings, AI-assisted mission systems, and even reduced radar visibility. The expectation for this aircraft is to reduce maintenance frequency in hours, thereby lowering costs to the lowest possible level. So, is the B-2 no longer in use? Not yet, at least not immediately. The U.S. Air Force plans to continue using B-2s until at least the 2030s. The Spirit continues to play a role in the air component of the nuclear triad. However, like all other aircraft, it has a limited lifespan. As the B-21 takes shape, the B-2's quiet farewell is approaching. The secret origins of the B-2, the birth of a ghost. 45 years ago, when this aircraft was being built, a crisis was averted. Soviet radar defenses were growing stronger, and the Cold War was in full swing. Traditional bombers were struggling to reach Moscow. This threat marked the beginning of a new era in stealth aviation. The Advanced Technology Bomber, ATB program, was the Pentagon's open yet secret response. It was so secret that no one knew anything about the aircraft for a decade. Lockheed's mysterious Skunk Works division lost the contract to Northrop Grumman. The B-2 Spirit was first unveiled to the world in 1988 in a dark hangar in the Nevada desert. A true combat aircraft. It had no tail, it had no vertical wings. Its fuselage was made as smooth and featureless as possible to absorb and deflect radar waves. Every part of it was covered with a special material that made it invisible. However, this was only the beginning. This naturally unstable tailless shape was made airworthy thanks to a fly-by-wire system that made thousands of small adjustments per second. Thanks to computer-assisted precision, this previously uncontrollable aircraft could now be controlled and stabilized, even in turbulent conditions. The B-2's design was also groundbreaking. Every component of its modularly assembled body was designed to reduce its radar signature. Everything was carried out with the utmost secrecy and meticulousness. However, the cost of this revolution was extremely high. The price of invisibility, a trillion-dollar ghost. This aircraft was a complete financial disaster. It was simply too expensive. Initially, 132 units were planned for production. However, following the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, the Pentagon's priorities shifted. Low-intensity, adaptable missions replaced large-scale conflicts. Only 21 B-2s remained in the fleet. However, the average cost of each was $2.1 billion. The cost was due to a number of factors. This aircraft required 120 hours of maintenance. For every hour flown, 5 days of maintenance were needed. This special coating protects everything and allows it to fly in all conditions. Furthermore, it could not be stored in any hangar. Climate-controlled shelters were required to protect the coating from deterioration. Purchasing the B-2 was only the first step. Flying it was much more expensive. Was it worth it? This aircraft flew in combat for the first time. The location was Kosovo. B-2s flew 33-hour missions, struck targets in Yugoslavia, and took off from Missouri. They traveled across continents, completed their missions, and returned with only one refueling stop, all without being detected. In 2003 over Iraq, in 2011 over Libya, and then over Afghanistan, B-2s struck targets and vanished. Quietly and invisibly, it did it alone. A true machine. It came unseen, struck hard, and vanished again. But the question remains, was this extremely expensive and rare aircraft truly necessary? The B-2 Spirit can still take off today. It can continue to fly through the sky like a shadow. It leaves no sound or trace, which is why it was different from everyone else. It is one of the pinnacles of military and aviation technology. However, its time is almost up. While the new B-21 is being built, this aircraft was eager to part ways with the B-21. But there is one more question. Does the world's most expensive and stealthiest aircraft truly deserve all this expense and mystery? Let us know in the comments. Is the B-2 Spirit an engineering marvel of defense history or a grand fantasy?